Hi my angels, it's Hailey Reese, and I hope that you guys are having an absolutely fantastic morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it is for you, when this video finally reaches you. Today's video is one that I'm really excited to share with you guys because when I asked you guys some things that you missed here on my channel, there was quite a few comments saying that you guys missed me sharing stories that you guys send in. So I spent pretty much all day yesterday going through the email that I have for you guys to send in your experiences, and that was when I stumbled across a email titled "My Elf on the Shelf is Seriously Haunted." And then in like brackets, they put something terrifying is happening. So obviously, given the fact that it's Christmas, I was really intrigued to click on the email. And when I did, what she shared with me was so chilling that I thought, in the name of the Christmas spirit and how spooky this channel is, we would dive into me sharing that story with you guys. And she would like any advice that you guys have to offer her for what's going on with her and her daughter. So that is exactly what we're going to be diving into for today's video. Before we get into today's video though, I would very quickly like to thank today's video sponsor, GlassesUSA.com. GlassesUSA.com offers prescription eyeglasses and sunglasses for up to 70% off of retail price, making it so easy to shop for all of your eyewear needs at an affordable cost and from the comfort of your own home, which I think this year especially we can all appreciate. GlassesUSA.com offers over 6,000 styles of eyeglasses and sunglasses, including in-house brands alongside designer brands like Ray-Ban, Gucci, and many more. Better yet, almost all pairs can be ordered with your prescription, so whatever it is you're looking for, they will have. A complete pair of eyeglasses and sunglasses starts at just $30, and free basic prescription lenses are included with every frame. Shopping online at GlassesUSA.com is a completely risk-free experience. Free shipping and returns and a 100% money-back guarantee. They offer a full refund within 14 days of delivery, no questions asked, and a 365-day product warranty. So you can order from the comfort of your own home without any stress at all. And using GlassesUSA.com's virtual mirror, you can try on any pair of frames and see what they look like on your face by uploading your photo. So make sure you guys check out GlassesUSA.com by clicking the link below. And thank you so much to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring today's video and giving me my absolute favorite glasses. But with that being said, let's get into today's video. So the only request in the email was that they wanted to keep their identities private. So I'm gonna make up a name for her and we're gonna call her Maddie. I've been watching the 100, so that just popped up in my head for some reason. So I received an email from Maddie a few days ago saying that she had an elf on the shelf that she believes to be haunted. And what's interesting about this is, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't look into it, but I think a few years back when I'd first started my channel, somebody had either sent in to me that they too had a haunted elf on the shelf, or I had read a story on it, but I know that I've covered a true elf on the shelf experience in the past. So I don't know, maybe I'll go back and watch that after this, if this is similar or if it's a completely different experience. But nonetheless, I know that we have talked about a creepy elf on the shelf in the past. Now, what I think is kind of eerie about elves on the shelves is that they look so freaking cute and innocent. I can't wait to have kids and have them have their own little elf on the shelf and the joy and fun that that's gonna bring, because I just think it's absolutely adorable. But in the world of the paranormal, something that I've realized is most things that seem so adorable, when they get scary or paranormal activity begins surrounding them, it's even creepier because they're supposed to be innocent. Look at Annabelle for an example. She's supposed to be a Raggedy Ann doll, which is one of the biggest dolls of the time. And she wound up being a demonic entity wound up possessing her. And I think that that just makes it all the eerier. Like when I went and met Annabelle and I was looking at her, I was like, you look like a Raggedy Ann, but I know what you are. So she said at the beginning of her email that she has a 3-year-old daughter who is her absolute pride and joy. And she's had an elf on the shelf for a few years now. Even though she was too young to really understand it, it was a tradition that she really wanted to do for her daughter. Maddie, had nieces and nephews who loved their elves on the shelves, and so she couldn't wait to have her very own elf on the shelf. Now, up until this year, she was still living with her daughter's father, so Maddie was still married. And a really important thing to note for this story is that her husband at the time was working night shifts. So he would leave in the evening and he would come home before Maddie would wake up, and then he would sleep pretty much all day. And they really didn't get to spend too much time together besides on the weekends. So last year, the elf on the shelf arrives and, they're all excited about it. And one thing that Maddie would notice last year was that she would see the elf on the shelf in one place that it was supposed to be different from the other day. And then by morning time, the elf on the shelf would be in a different area of the home. Now, she just assumed her husband must have something to do with this, and it wasn't eerie enough for her to bring that up to him at all. Like, she didn't go to him and say, hey, like, what's going on with the elf on the shelf? It was supposed to be here, that's where it moved itself to, and now it's somewhere totally different, you know what I mean? So they never really talked about it, but that was something that, since everything started happening now, she's kept in the back of her mind, like, I wonder if it wasn't him. But we'll continue on. So this year, her daughter is a little chatty Cathy. She says her daughter talks all the time, and she's really becoming this imaginative little bundle of joy. So she's spending a lot of time with her, hanging out with her, and really learning all of the different qualities her daughter has now that it's just the two of them, because unfortunately she would split from her husband at the beginning of this year, and her daughter would move into their own place. So she started to learn a lot more about her daughter and the more time she was spending with her. And she was really excited for Christmas this year. Like, she is really excited for Christmas this year because this year her daughter is getting it. Her daughter's actually going to be 4 soon. She's really grasping and understanding what Christmas means, and she loves her little elf on the shelf. So the minute December 1st, the elf on the shelf arrived, her daughter was really, really excited. And her mom told her the rules. You can't touch your elf on the shelf, or that takes away the magic. And even though she was young, she'd say, oh, no touch, no touch. Like, that was how she explained it to me in the email. It was pretty cute. It was like she kind of understood it, but, she's still a little girl. So a couple days in, so I received this email a couple of days ago, and she said that it had just started happening. It was like a couple of days in, right away, strange things started happening. She noticed that her daughter would stand close to the elf on the shelf during the day and talk to it as if they were having a conversation. Now, at first, as I mentioned, she thought that it was her daughter's blossoming imagination and that she was communicating with her elf on the shelf, and she thought that it was really magical and cute and sweet, and she took videos of it, and she thought that it was adorable. Until the elf on the shelf would once again this year, within just those first few days, wind up in a totally different spot than where it should be. And it would wind up in places that her daughter couldn't reach. So this has obviously been very alarming to Maddie, just because she knows for a fact it's just her and her daughter and this elf on the shelf in the house, and the elf on the shelf has been moving to places that her nearly 4-year-old couldn't even reach. And she said the breaking point where she decided to message me was that just the other day, Maddie's daughter was in the living room and the elf on the shelf was actually up on a high up shelf, ironically enough. He was actually an elf on the shelf. And her daughter was watching a show and kind of doing her thing, and all of a sudden a vase that was like on the same shelf as the elf had fallen off and shattered everywhere. And her daughter started crying, and when she went into the room to see what had happened, make sure that her daughter wasn't hurt, her daughter was looking at the elf saying, bad, 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 in a way that the elf had done it. And so this was a moment where Maddie, tried to ask her daughter, do you talk to the elf? Like, do you talk to him? And her daughter said, yeah. And she was like, you actually hear the elf talking to you? And she said, yeah. And she said, what is the elf like? And her daughter said, mean. So just to kind of recap what's been going on in just the few days since December has started this year, the elf is moving on its own. A vase, and I should note, she did mention that the vase was on the same shelf that the elf was on, but it wasn't close enough that the elf could have leaned over it and knocked it off. And her daughter kept saying that the elf did it and bad, bad, bad. And then she said the elf is mean. And after that night, she started thinking about it all, and it was really not sitting well with her. She had a really, really eerie dream about the elf, which could just be from everything going on. And when she awoke the following morning, once again, the elf was somewhere totally different that her daughter couldn't even reach. So she has no idea what's going on. She feels like she's going absolutely crazy, and she sent in an email because she said, I know that this isn't the most dramatic thing. I know that, it's not a terrifying thing, but it's very real to me. And I don't know what to make of it, and I want to know if you are the Reese's Pieces. No, and you guys have said that you miss giving advice to fellow Reese's Pieces, so I thought this would be a really interesting one to bring here, because a part of me is like, I'm not sure that it would be a dark entity by any means. I mean, she could say that the elf was mean because if the elf pushed the vase off, that's bad. If she knows she's not supposed to do that, she's 3 years old, she's gonna be 4 years old. Of course to her that would seem bad, but I'm very, very curious to know what you guys think of this. Have you guys had any strange experiences with elves on the shelves in the past? I'm very, very curious to know. I mean, with the amount of people who do have elves on the shelves, I feel like it's almost inevitable that somebody out there would have a strange experience, but I'm very, very curious to hear from you guys if any of you have, and have you guys had any strange paranormal experiences around Christmas time that you'd be willing to share down in the comments below, because I've been loving reading through your guys' comments and responding to as many as I can, and I'm very, very curious to know any Christmas experiences that you guys have had. But with that being said, please let Maddie know any advice that you guys have, any thoughts or opinions. I know that she'll be reading through and she's gonna really appreciate it. And she also told me that she would keep me up to date on if things got worse or if things get better, and she even said that she would, if we want her to, and I definitely would love to see it if she's comfortable, film the elf on the shelf overnight and see if we can capture anything. But that is basically it for today's video. Once again, I would just love to thank GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring this video. Make sure you guys click the link down in my description and check out GlassesUSA.com. I promise you will not regret it. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, I would really, really love and appreciate it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you.